Eddie, I want to think that facial hair has grown in the last 2 hours.
Yeah, it was all a lot blacker about 4 hours ago, too.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on for the next 85, 90 minutes with us. We are going to extend the stream an extra half hour given the nature of the slate. For any of you joining now, welcome. FTN Daily, live with Fast Eddie Fear, the last show of the regular NBA season, the most hectic show of the season, but also arguably the most profitable slate of the NBA season. So
yeah,
we will do our best.
You guys get the benefit here. This historically is very profitable. This actually, playing on the last day of the season, tends to strongly resemble playing DFS 5 or 6 years ago, where it was honestly pretty easy to win by just not fucking up. Like, other people are going to find a way to fuck this up. Just don't fuck it up. Like, days when there's a lot of shit going on, and they tend to be the most profitable days. Yes, obviously you want to grab the 1%er who you know and no one else knows is going to start and play 35 minutes at minimum price and score 50. Yeah, we want that guy, and we'll talk about that guy and try to come up with some of that guy for you. Absolutely. But really critical tonight is just don't fuck up. Like, play common sense, understand the motivations of all these various teams. We'll get into that. Who we expect to start, who we expect to play.
Yep.
I guess we could start with talking about the unique structure of the day. It is obviously every team in the NBA playing today. There are only, I think randomly Chicago is at an off start time. Is that still the case where Chicago has its own slate? I think the Minnesota game, rather.
I believe, yeah, it's the only. So there were
4
games at 6.
There were 4 early games. 4 games at lock here. 1 game.
Chicago Minnesota is the only game.
The Chicago Minnesota game is 90 minutes after this lock, and then an hour after that is, I think, everyone the hell else. The final 6 games. Or 7.
Yep. Yeah. So
and again, this is for, if not obvious, for parity and structure, and the fact that a lot of teams, whatever you do will depend on what I do out west. An easy one is Denver and Utah are playing concurrently, so that less people dump. I was disappointed to see how they did the scheduling today, where, because Minnesota or Milwaukee was out. Your boys, you're fucking cowards. Let's be honest.
Hey! Oh, hold on. Okay, cowards.
Yes.
Or
what is your
strategically? I would just,
that's fine, but they are ducking the nets, right? There's no other.
Yes.
Okay,
I 100% admit they're ducking the nets. I as a fan, I would still feel wholeheartedly confident in the Bucks in a first-round series against the Nets. But, I mean, selfishly, I'd also rather play the Bulls if you have that option on the table. So,
all right, so there's this incredibly weird conversation out there. So here's the East Coast standings. There's honestly not that much drama for the last day of a season with every team playing and a lot of them playing concurrently next to each other. There are all 30 teams are playing. We know what 20 teams are making the postseason. There's no drama. Will we be playing in a couple days? We know who is in. It's just about what order they come in.
Sure.
Out west, Utah can win and hold, but if Utah loses and Denver wins, they swap the 5 and the 6.
Yep.
They're all set 7 through 10 out there. The real drama is
both plans are now set, East and West.
Oh, we've now it's 7, 8, 9. It's what I expected, which is
Brooklyn 7.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Brooklyn 7, Cleveland 8,
Atlanta 9, Charlotte 10.
Atlanta 9, Charlotte 10, and then Minnesota, New Orleans. Or no, who's 8 in the West? Why am I blanking here? New Orleans is 9, San Antonio's 10.
San Antonio's 10, New Orleans 9. 8 in the
8?
West is
Clippers. Yeah, Clippers. So that's all. So
what's interesting is over in the East. Okay, so we know that the 5 is the Raptors. We know that the 6 is the Bulls, and we know that the 7 is the Nets. Mm-hmm. Of those teams, it's safe to say that there's a couple interesting variables here. The first one is people don't want to play the Nets, including the Bucks, because even though they're in the 7 seed, they're fairly healthy at this time of the year. You have a healthy Kyrie, a healthy Durant. Those 2 guys can beat you 4 games. So, yeah, we don't want to do that. So you have teams like the Bucks, which, if they won today, would have been the 2 seed. Because they've lost, they've put themselves in play to be the 3 seed. They can't be the 4. The 76ers cannot get on top of the Bucks under any circumstance.
Correct.
So, but both Boston and Philadelphia have some number of unvaccinated players. It seems extremely likely. Again, being Matisse Thybulle for Philadelphia,
Really?
and quite possibly Jaylen Brown. There's a lot of names bandied around, but apparently either Jaylen Brown or hypothetically Jason Tatum is unvaccinated for the Celtics. This is floating around up in the air. Horford was, but has apparently gotten the shot in time that this will not prevent him playing. But basically for these teams who are looking to finish in either the 3 or the 4, your chances to play Toronto minus some guys, and Toronto is a well-coached team, was a tough out, and Chicago, who looks horrible. So you absolutely positively want to end up in the 3, and you absolutely positively do not want to end up in the 4 for most of these teams. So Milwaukee, your boys, cannot end up in the 4.
Correct.
The only way they will not end up in the 3 is if the Celtics win tonight, which apparently they're going to try. The Celtics will pass you. The Celtics will finish in the 2 and play the Nets, and you will get what you want, which is you will finish in the 3 and play the Bulls, and then the 76ers will finish in the 4-5. So as far as tonight goes, Milwaukee has already achieved their goal of getting their shit stomped in. Again, there actually was a late rally. Got interesting for a second there, but Bucks successfully gave it up. So sweet. So now we're in the situation where Boston, Ime Udoka came out and said, hey, we're going to play. He said, we're going to control what we can control, which would be the greatest Duke ever if he correctly understood the situation. Meant that we can lose. Watch carefully. Go get them. Fucking 48 minutes of Peyton Pritchard. Like, they can lose if they want to. Like, you can control that. So it was a really odd way to phrase it. He's like, we're going to play our guys. And then he's like, we're going to control what we can control. You can control this. So I think the most likely scenario for this evening is the following. Now we get into the opponents for the evening. Again, I was pointing out before, I misspoke once about Minnesota, but there are 15 games on today's slate, and like 14 of them had one team who cared and one team who very much didn't. We had 4 early games. Brooklyn played Indiana. Brooklyn really, really needed to win. Indiana kind of strongly wanted to lose. They're still in ping pong balls. So they actually had a benefit to lose. So that went both ways. Again, Rick Carlisle is very Tom Thibodeau in that we don't do that, but they both got what they benefits the team best long run. Charlotte wanted hypothetically to win to get out of the 10. Didn't happen. Washington, no incentive to win the game. Next game, Milwaukee wanted to lose. Cleveland wanted to win. Check. Next game, Atlanta wanted to win. Houston wanted to lose. Okay, so we're through 4 games so far with no games where both teams had differing agendas. Now we start the night slate. We have Boston and Memphis. Boston should want to lose, but apparently wants to win. I don't know how to say that any better. Like, I don't. All right, no, they want. Yes. Well, all right, so there's an argument here. They can hypothetically still, they're the only team that can finish 2nd to 4th in the Eastern Conference. If they win, they will finish 2nd. If they lose and Philadelphia wins, Philadelphia will finish 3rd, and they will finish 4th.
Yeah, which that would be, for Boston, you could argue, worst case scenario.
Yeah. Which is why, there's so they cannot finish. Right, so they can finish. The only way they can finish 3rd is if they lose and Philadelphia loses. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the only way they can end up in the 3, which is what they would like. So they're in this really weird spot where they're like, hey, so Philadelphia plays Detroit. Now, as any of the many Philly fans in our audience know, they don't blow anybody out. So
and Embiid and Harden are out. So
yeah, and so do you now, as like, there's a really interesting situation where it's awfully peculiar. They can't allow themselves to get screwed into. It's so weird. They really want to find the way they'll get themselves into the 3, which requires them and Philly to lose. So there is going to be some scoreboard watching where I think Boston starts strong. I have 9s on my rankings for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think you can run those guys out there. I might end up with an 8 on Brown just because of matchup and it progresses a little better. And I just like Tatum a little bit better for a couple of reasons.
Sure.
But they're going to start and go hard. But and they will probably play the entire game. Either 1, the game stays close. B, the game with Philadelphia stays vaguely close, in which case they can't afford to lose because their worst case scenario is ending up in the 4th. They can't allow that to happen. So they kind of have to sort of play to win. So Boston, we feel pretty good about. Philadelphia is always already resting 2 guys. I question their motivation at this point, or at least not so much their motivation as I suspect they know Boston is very likely to win their game, which is against a Memphis team sitting everyone. So this Memphis team is going to run out, Conchard, et cetera, et cetera.
Zaire Williams,
they'll run out Conchard, Zaire Williams, so on and so forth. There's been a couple prospective starting lineups I wrote before who I think was going to start.
I think Underdog tweeted, and this is the likely one that I agree. I think it'd be Melton, Conchar, Zaire, Slow-Mo, and Xavier Tillman.
Yeah.
Xavier
Tillman, not Killian Tilly. Someone said to me before it'd be Tillman.
Tilly's out. Tilly's been ruled out.
Yeah, Tilly's no longer. Yep. And they might not even start Anderson. There's a couple different ways they could
correct. They could very well not play Kyle Anderson.
Yeah. So there's a real chance if he starts, he's going to look pretty good. So I will just to answer. There's about 100 questions coming in tweets and.
So do you think, I don't know if game by game is necessarily the appropriate way to approach this slate. I
have this currently the best rated play on the slate for me right now is Omer Yurtseven.
Yes, and he's also questionable.
Yeah.
But I wholeheartedly agree with that. I mean, Dedmon, Bam ruled out.
Yeah.
They're not going to play Haslam,
30 odd minutes. Tucker is out. Who can play some center for you. And actually, it's a real issue in the postseason. Like, you want Tucker healthy, at least for the second round. First round,
you saw the impact last year. Exactly.
Yeah, you've managed to avoid Durant in the first round. So, theory, you can get around that, but you want him for Durant. You want him for Embiid on occasion. You want him for Giannis. But yeah, if Omar Yurtseven plays and starts, I currently have 32 minutes and 42 and a quarter fantasy points against an Orlando team who is actively trying to lose, again, to get into game motivations. My second best value play currently is Ayo Dosunmu.
Yep. Especially sub 4K on FanDuel.
Yeah, sub 4K on DraftKings.
Yep, both actually.
Yeah, I have them at 32 minutes and 35 fantasy points. Against a Minnesota team, also sitting some key personnel. Let me look at my last version of their
Cat's out for sure.
D'Lo
questionable.
Yeah, and again, they have nothing to play for. They are locked into the 7 out west for the Timberwolves.
Yep, exactly.
I've seen a lot of ratings and questions and stuff today, like based on matchups. People need to vary a little bit more when many players are out for a team. Like Beverly is questionable. D-Russ is questionable. Towns is out. This is a very different team. Speaking of Towns being out, number 5 on this list I have currently being Naz Reid. I have Naz Reid at 28 minutes. My point being, a good value rating for me, usually on a value, I have my own scale, gets to about 93%. I'm excited about that. The number of players under 5,000 I have at 93% or higher tonight is 9. So I will.
It's a lot. I mean, it's expected on this slate, right?
Yes, so I will just go down a list of very, very good players who are very, very cheap. Omer Yurtseven, Ayo Dosunmu, Guillermo Hernan-Gomez, Xavier Tillman, Naz Reid, Aaron Holiday, John Conchar, Xavier Simpson. You are no longer cheap, sir. Cam Johnson will make the cut. Troy Brown Jr., who we don't have starters yet there, but I think he starts and plays like 32, 33 minutes.
He has to, especially like Matt Thomas being out too, which not
Matt
a very
Thomas
fantasy impactful player, but that will really impact this rotation with the personnel they have.
Yeah, Jose Alvarado, Landry Shamet, Shake Milton comes up on this list now. Brandon Boston at the absolute floor comes up on this list. I mean, this is about the line where I would draw just before Boston, just before Shake Milton. But the other 9 names I just named would be 10 on your average day. So where exactly to lay these numbers is a little bit tricky. But there are many, 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 many outstanding plays. Let us turn our gaze towards the expensive plays. Let's start with Luka. Why don't you talk us around for a little bit while we think about guys that we think.
Sure. I actually think both spend ups with the most intrigue are in the San Antonio and Dallas game. Both do carry a level of risk. The Mavs have some motivation. They can move up to the number 3 with a win and a Warriors loss, which I do, if you're looking at a lot of these hypotheticals, whether, a team that might need a Utah loss, like that's far less likely than like Golden State could lose to this New Orleans team despite them missing Javon and Ingram. Obviously not a likely outcome, but certainly I think more probable than a Utah drop in this game to Portland. So Dallas can move up to the 3 with a win and a Golden State loss. So this gives them enough intrinsic motivation. I think there's a little the worry with Luka is a potential blowout. I think like the 10.5 point spread is something I'm completely ignoring. What I'm trying to siphon through is how many, like what the rotation for the Spurs team looks like. They are locked into the 10 seed.
Yes.
But like obviously that gives them no motivation from a seeding standpoint to play. But this group has missed a lot of time. Like DeJounte's missed the last week or so, and they don't have a week to practice like these teams not in the play-in do. They play Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like this is this is now essentially a regular season schedule for them for the next 3 days. So I like they're gonna want DeJounte to get his feet back under him. You'd at least think. Same with Keldon, who's back in the lineup. Pirtle's back in the lineup. And then you factor in who their coach is, and it's like this could go a lot of ways. I had my first run had DeJounte for 32 minutes, and I felt that was too high.
I have him at 30 before, I said before, and I am nervous about that. I am less excited about DeJounte Murray than many other people are on this.
I agree.
I don't think he's by any means out of play, but I'm roughly similar on him and we'll say Tatum. And a lot of other people are like, no, it's Luka, then DeJounte, and then everything else is a pile of shit. I'm not sure that's the case.
I agree.
I just think there's a lot of ways in which they want to make sure they give him some run tonight, and I haven't seen anything contrary, and they play him 28 minutes, and they get run off, and Trey gets some extra time, and they get the guys some rest because they got the play-in coming up. Like, I don't think because they want the rhythm and they've discussed wanting to, play him that much. What's really interesting for me is looking at numerical projections for today. On an average 15-game slate, if you played every team in the NBA, I think I would have, or even let's say an 11-game slate, I think I would have like 8 players project for 50 or more fantasy points. Do you know how many players I've projected for 50 or more fantasy points right now? One.
Luka, right?
One guy can project for 50 or more fantasy points. And of the guys who get very close, several of them don't cost that much money. Like both Jalen Horde and Emmanuel Quickly are making a look at it to be like the second highest ranked player on this slate. It is crackers. So I think there is a real conversation to have as far as who are, to answer the question in chat, the priorities. Apparently that did not upload again. So I have an issue with the thing. So that is fine. I'm going to let you start on this, and I'm going to just transcript over 10s and 9s into chat because I don't know. Maybe it's too many players because I ranked 338 players tonight. But I will do this manually. So you'll get a nice message in chat if you're the premium Slack of 10s and 9s in a minute, and I'll grab the last news thing and see if I need to change any rotations first. But let's talk about the games that lock at 7 Eastern.
Let's do it.
And what we can do.
The sports books have really sharpened up compared to last year and have not released player props yet. And that was the edge last year when they would release them early and you could jump on them. But with NBA Mayhem, they have wisened up a bit. So starting with the 6 p.m. games, Toronto, New York. New York 1-point underdogs at home. We just got word that Emmanuel Quickly will start alongside Alec Burks.
Yep.
I don't expect, knowing Thibodeau, I don't really expect their rotation to change much from what we've seen these last 2 or 3 games. Maybe a few less minutes for RJ Barrett, if anybody, but I think we can reasonably expect 38 plus from Obi, 38 plus from Emmanuel Quickly, 35 plus from Alec Burks. I think Quickly and Obi Toppin are very, very strong plays. They're priced up, but I think it's warranted given the volume that they should see from both a minutes and a production standpoint. I use betting lines a lot to kind of gauge and point them and compare them to side by side with projections. Like both are are being implied for over 21 points in the betting market, raw points alone. Both are looking at multiple 3-point shots, which helps on DraftKings. 10 plus combined rebounds and assists. Like both are projecting very well, and the betting market is expecting productive games. You lose Fred VanVleet, that helps Emmanuel Quickley quite a bit. You lose Pascal, that helps Obi quite a bit, given the lack of length defensively. And I am not sold that OG Anunoby is going to get close to a full workload. I would be shocked to see him play more than 24 to 26 minutes.
I have him for 26.
Yeah. And I think that would be like the top of my projection for minutes for. I don't see much room for him to go up. But I like Obi and Quickley quite a bit from the New York side. On the Toronto side, I think Scotty Barnes would still be my favorite. If there's anyone that's going to get full run from this main rotation, it's going to be Scotty Barnes. But this wholeheartedly is not a game I have a massive amount of interest in. Do you differ at all, or do you want to move on to a different 7 p.m. game?
I'd say I have a lot of interest in this game. New York is down to 8 players. So the rotation is going to be a little tighter than it normally is. No Mitch, no Grimes, all those guys being out. You're going to get some Farron Hunt time, some Archie Diacono time. But you're on 8 guys, counting with them only likely playing like Taj sort of as the backup center for 20 minutes. So you're going to get some real time out of Quickley, Toppin, Burks, like even a couple extra minutes over what you. So I find Quickley and Toppin absolutely exceptional, and Burks just a hair behind against a Toronto team that doesn't have a lot to play for, and I think peels some guys out. And there's obviously some, it's a little more dicey there, but I would say I'm very interested in the Knicks. I would consider a lineup incomplete without one of the Knicks' big 3.
Yeah, I am a single entry would be more than happy with both IQ and Toppin.
Yeah. And then for Toronto, it is difficult for me to rank anyone very high. My favorite guy right now is probably Chris Boucher. I just think there is enough ways the bullshit happens that you can get Boucher day. That's talk about it more. Right now I have 25 minutes and 28 fantasy points. There is an enormous ceiling, as you are wont to know. They have already pulled Fred. They've already pulled Siakam. I think you can get to Scotty. He's young. I think there's a little, there goes Lowry for the Heat. So, yeah. Someone says Cousins out, Joker, McGee, or Yurt. It's still Yurt for me by a lot. And for me, that's pretty clearly actually Yurtseven, Cousins,
McGee. Like I don't think
in that order. And
I don't think McGee correct, but I don't think McGee
good.
touches their ceiling.
Yeah, I would have them project, like it becomes a Cousins minutes question. Like, Cousins is not so young that they're going to throw 33 minutes at him, even in the random start, but they may allow him to go out there and do some real damage. And don't underestimate the relevance of how close he is with Coach Malone. So, but for me, it's pretty clearly Yurtseven, Cousins, McGee. When I look at those 3 guys with the various backup options they have, the matchups, the relationship with the coaches, I wouldn't consider those 3 terribly close. Should you just not use the optimizer? I'm be honest, guys. Anything automated is going to be kind of shit today on any site. Like you can constantly try to update stuff and catch up, but it's just too easy to get caught and ask a lot of questions, talk about a lot of things, but anything automated is going to crap on you a little bit. No Lowry, Butler, Adebayo, Tucker, Hero, Dedmon. Also expect limited, if any, Robinson, Vincent, Martin. But also someone has to play for Myra Venderman. So yeah, you're going to get. Yeah, I'm not shocked, and Ira knows what he's talking about. So they are going to limit the shit out of their rotation guys as they could. Someone asked me, well, my first question I took today, I think I've been in this chat for 10 hours, with someone going like, hey, is Spoelstra going to just play his guys more than he should? I'm like, no, they're going to be smart about this. So Miami as a team, I have Yurtseven as insane. And then it gets a little interesting. Strus is probably going to end up being the one who projects second best for me. I think Vincent gets limited. I think Caleb Martin gets limited. I think Duncan Robinson gets limited. So you're going to see, let's see, their team is going to be Michael Mulder, Javante Smart will play. Haywood Highsmith will play and actually look pretty good. Like this is going to be a little tricky, and I'll try to come up with some exact numbers there. And when we get a lineup, I'll help a little bit. Miami's a 7:00 game. So we will get that in minutes if we haven't already. So we should get the Heat starting lineup in a moment. So I'm going to put out the first version of these rankings, which will be incredibly incomplete until I get some more lineups and shit. But
yeah, and I'm working on trying to get this the optimizer issue solved on the back end. But like to your point, I think the optimizer will cause more headaches. Like using optimizer right now will cause more headaches than anything else because the amount of time is going to change in the next 30 minutes. You will not be able to keep up with.
There's you just can't, exactly. Any issue well, all right. So the Warriors will probably win their. Sorry. So there's the 3-4 are pairing off in the West, and the 5-6 are pairing off in the East. The Warriors have their own ass in their own hands. They need to beat a limited Pelicans team, which they probably will, and that makes them the 3. And then Dallas has nothing to play for. With those games going at the exact same time. So there is a risk of Luka having nothing to play for because the Warriors are up 22 in the third quarter. That's a possibility. The Jazz have their ass in their own hands where they are the 5 unless they lose and Denver wins. And those 2 games are happening concurrently. But for Denver to move up, they need Utah to lose. And Utah is playing, wait for it, fucking Portland. So that's pretty unlikely to happen. So there's a reasonable likelihood in both those games that Golden State is bending over New Orleans and Utah is bending over Portland. 3 more complaints about the rankings. Yeah, I got it, guys. I'm doing my best.
Omer's starting. There we go, baby.
Yeah, go ahead and load it.
Load it. We are, guys, rankings are coming.
I'll drop what I can in chat. Did not upload. I don't know if it's because there are so many players, hypothetically, but I will finish typing out the core of the list. It's fair. People deserve rankings, but again, it's a tough day for the rankings would also change every 7 minutes. So it's okay. I'm gonna do the best I can here, but
I get it. I'm trying to get my.
I can't host the show if I keep the rankings perfectly updated.
I know it's gonna be slides. That's tough. Someone said I know it's gonna be a sliding scale, but best guess as to how many folks from these early lock games we should use. Well, there are 4 games at lock. So
out of 11.
Just out of 11. A lot of these teams care. Like Yurt, I think for me would be a staple. I would want at least one guy from Memphis. My favorite 2 right now are Conchar and Xavier Tillman. I think you can get away with a Jason Tatum, but he's not someone I prioritize over a ton of people. I would want at least one of these Knicks guys. So right now you're looking at about half a single entry lineup. Like this is not a slate where I'm like, you know what? There's going to be great value elsewhere. Push it off because there is some downright elite value in these early games. Markieff Morris also out. That is not insignificant.
Yeah, no. So again, Yurt's been need someone to play center out there.
Oladipo starting. How many shots is he going to take?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's going to rank pretty well for me too.
Yeah.
All right. There's a list right now, and again, I'll just let it read in chat for guys that I have significant interest in, and then go back and look. And I will continue to adjust this as we go. See, that got missed. Culver.
I'm adding some bets right now to record a double.
Culver's relevant. He's going to play 28 minutes in that. Maxey, I think, is fine. He would be on the 8-9 line for me. Like, your concern is they don't go full. I am for 28 minutes, but obviously no Haywood, no. Like, both he and Harris potentially have all kinds of upside. Like, you can't argue that you can obviously get a huge game out of Maxey or Harris without Embiid and Harden out there. And I have them as 2 of the better plays here. I think B-ball Paul Reed is another really interesting shot. I think, again, we're waiting on the lineup. Do we need spend-ups tonight? Well, you play Luka because, like, you can make valid lineups with $15,000 left over. You can.
Sure.
Like, if you look at the, like literally Yurtseven, Hernan Gomez, Ayo Dosunmu, Melton, Simpson for the Thunder, quickly Like all those guys cost 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6K and can all score 50, 60 fantasy points. Jordan, did you end up starting for Philly? Yeah, that's what I assumed. What's the lean on Joker? I think he sits. Like I would guess that they sit him down as the lean, but I'm 2 out of 3 out of it. Like leaving money open. So leaving money open for late is obviously outstanding here. We want to lock some guys. Most obviously we want to get Yurtsman in a significant portion of lineups, if not like, all of them. But and I like Toronto and New York. Philly and Detroit. I'm gonna put in.
I'm kind of ambivalent on it.
I'm gonna put in Maxey as a 9 as well. So we'll go.
Harris would probably be an 8 for me, I think.
I left him as a 9 as well, but it's interesting. But his game really does pick up when you get rid of like both the other high usage guys. I can get 25 shots out of him, and they decide to like, hey, we got to keep this tight, and maybe we can get our ass out of having to go to Canada. Fuck Canada, and so they, you may get a real run out of those guys. But Furcon. What was the? Can you discuss man ranking? I feel should be a lot higher on this Clips team. Well, I can talk to you about my man projection, and then with this price per minute rates in the NBA so far, not exactly sublime, and the price no longer free. Can you talk Simpson being a 10? Feels misplaced on this slate with the basic per minute producers getting huge rolls and right at the free Metz. Yeah, that's a really good question. So he's asking about Xavier Simpson. So I have Xavier Simpson for 41.5 minutes. And 36.25 fantasy points. I've spent some time trying to rank him better. Obviously, it's a small sample size, and we have seen some really anemic production in a couple of games. Now, there's some guesswork as to exactly what happens there,
Sure.
But it sort of comes down to a projection, rankings, and the order in which things come out in my algorithm. All the end information that comes out is going to be a little weird because it is heavily predicated on value, which has very little value today. Having a guy who scores 35 points for 5K isn't really relevant if there's a guy who's going to score 40 points for 7K. Usually the first one is much, much better, but that $2,000 does much less for me than almost any other day we've been playing. So saying bring Simpson down to a 9, he was lower on the ranks for me. I have him as, you heard me sort of list them out vaguely in order before. I have him like 7 on the order list. That being said, I do like the matchup with the Clippers. I do like what appears to be a massive surety of time. But yeah, I think, I guess a better question would also be, it's hard for me to place the ownership here. I think he's somewhere around like 15% now, which doesn't strike me as incredibly great. But I don't think it's a crazy suggestion, Herm, that a 9 would be a more appropriate figure based on the fact there's so much insane value. It's really weird whether or not you use the number of 9s and 10s to also signify how many great plays there are. Like, do you keep it consistent, or is one of the reasons you have... So someone said about Terrence Mann, he would be probably a high 8 for me again on this slate. To use a comparison, like those are two players you asked about back to back. They cost $100 difference from each other. I have Simpson, who we're a little concerned about, projected for 8 fantasy points more than Terrence Mann. Thoughts on DeJounte Murray not watching stream? Someone is saying. This isn't a very old tweet we are putting up here, I think. Nope, that's the new copy. They just use the same format for the Grizzlies PR. Awesome has Horde for 55 DK. Are you remotely close? No, that's a stupid projection. But
hold up. Awesome has Jalen Horde for 55 DK.
Yeah, that's an absurd. I mean, the only way that can happen is if you just let an algorithm run and it's like he's had this many points per minute ipso facto, right. Which, yeah, I have him for 46.25. If you put a gun to my head and said pick the over-under on your number, I think I would take the number on the under on that. I ranked him, I believe, as a solid 9. He may have gotten up to a 10 because, again, a sure time. I like Horde just fine. He was second rank on the 9s for me, but
Clark and Bain are available but not starting. That is just so they don't have to forfeit the game. There's no way.
Let me get a count on their number of players then. If
I believe they have 8 with those two. I think
Tillman, Melton, Conchar, Anderson,
Zaire.
Culver, Williams,
Oh,
Yves Pond, Santi Adama. They have 8 players without those guys.
Yeah, they do have 8 players. You're right. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a concern, but honestly, this team is so fucking cheap. Do the Jazz starters play full run? Almost certainly not, because it's the last day of the season. They're beating Portland by 108. So,
right.
Yes, if that game is close, they need to win that game. They play full run, and if that game is close, I don't think that game is close. Yeah, they have 10 now with those two. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they'll play, but it's really, really a little bit interesting. Let me read.
Bear with me. I am trying to update everything in the optimizer right now.
I'm similarly updating rankings for Memphis, trying to get a better sense. Yeah, I don't mind Brandon Boston. I listed him on the first time through. Well, the issue with Brandon Boston is, again, you have to scale it versus sort of the other play tonight. I listed him before. He came in as the number 13 value play on this slate. He's the floor, but I have him for like 28 minutes. I'll give you my most recent Brandon Boston. 28 minutes, 25.25 fantasy points. That's really good for the floor. And he plays in a blowout. So I will add him to the 9s. He had been 8 or 9 all day, so I will go with that. There is the Grizzlies lineup. Let me see where I left everyone. I had Tillman as a 10. I still think that's right. Kyle Anderson gets up to a 9 now because he's starting. Zaire Williams would still be an 8. John Conchar probably going to end up being a 9 or a 10 now. And Melton is already a 10. So, yeah. No, Conchar was already a 10. Good. That went about how we expected. Do I believe any of the Nuggets starters will?
Yeah, I think some. I don't think Jokic plays, but that doesn't mean I don't think they're going to rest the farm.
Yeah, I'm worried it's going to be a little bit hectic and all over the place. Hilariously enough, my I don't know why they won't upload, but my last version of Denver rankings here had, you're going to love this, 3 players ranked. I ranked Cousins, Highland, and I'm trying to remember the third player.
I like Bones quite a bit on this slate.
Yeah, I think the Bones, again, 4,800, though the salary doesn't matter that much. It's sort of the thing with Simpson is like, do they have a chance to have, like, you should not play anyone tonight who can't score 40 fantasy points very easily in your head. If you don't think this guy can score 40, I don't care what he costs, don't play him. You're probably making a mistake. So a guy who's like, hey, this guy is like, so that's sort of my anti-Brandon Boston there. I've put him back in there, like, well, we'll run him out there as a 9. There you go. But if I had a criticism of him, it would be like, is my dude going to get 40? Like, he's got to get 30 minutes. He's got to be really good.
Let's see here. So, did we get Nick's starters yet? I believe we did. Sorry, I'm running through the optimizer. You're right. I got him right here. Okay, cool. Burst quickly, 40 type of saves. Got that. That's locked down. Mitra and Barrett are out. So I have 1, 2, 3. I have 8 available for the Knicks. Does that sound right for you? Because McBride and Grimes are both out, right?
It was kind of with everyone out, it went down to 8. They have 8 available, and that has been confirmed by reporters, et cetera, et cetera. So cool. Yes, they have 8 available. That's right.
Someone's asking if DeAnthony Melton is a priority. I do not think he's a priority. No.
Priority.
Strong play, yes. Priority for me, no.
Yeah. Again, the matchup is difficult, so I would again go with no. He's an edge 10 for me. He's not a priority. I like Melton a lot. I have 32.5 minutes and 38.75 fantasy points. There is a lot of usage opening up on this Memphis team, obviously. But for me, like Tillman and Yurtseven and Sweet Dick Willie are the bigs priorities there. And for the guards in the backcourt, there's even just some better point per dollar plays. So like I'm fine getting to some Melton. I ranked him as a 10. I think he's a great GPP play, even against Boston, who I don't think plays a whole hard game a lot of the time. He's going to be out there, point guard, shooting guard eligible, and again projects for nearly 40. I like a guy who can get 40 tonight. That's actually a pretty good rule of thumb tonight. Are you looking at the guys? Can they get 40? maybe don't play him. Naz Reid can get you 40 tonight. Melton can get you 40 tonight. Quickly can get you 55 tonight. Yurtsvin can get you 40 tonight. All these guys can get you fucking 40.
Yeah.
Play guys who can get you 40. Good rule of thumb. I like that. We'll do it that way.
Let's see here. Updating. Conchar, excuse me, or Naz Reid. I think I still.
Why not both would be my first answer.
Correct. If choosing one, I think I go Naz Reid.
They are really close for me. I believe I will have Naz Reid projected for slightly higher both ownership and production, but I will confirm that. Naz Reid also power forward eligible. Don't forget to put him there. That way,
yes,
like playing like Naz Reid, Xavier Tillman, Omer Yurtsvin. That's a lot of sexy big value you can get in there once. Guillermo Hernan Gomez, like all four of them project. Like all of them would be the best.
Yeah.
Let's
talk both. That's a team
I have Naz Reid at 32.25 fantasy points. And which was the other he asked? Talking so much value.
Conchar.
Yep. I think I may have him. I have Conchar at 31.75. So I have Naz Reid. Yeah, and I have Naz Reid closer to the mid 30s and Conchar closer to the high 20s. So I have Naz Reid higher owned, slightly higher production. I would be largely ambivalent. Good question, though.
Let's see here. A lot of questions now about New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So JaVale out, Ingram out. What do you make of CJ on this? Like,
I obviously have concern that they're going to go hard. They have literally nothing to play for, so it would be a curious decision to all of a sudden lean on CJ that hard.
Yeah.
I have Sweet Dick as the guy here. Like I don't currently have CJ. I have CJ for 14 minutes to give you an idea.
Okay, that's perfect.
So fuck them. So for the Pelicans, I think Hernan Gomez is the chalky play and the best play. After that, two more I think exceptional plays are Jose Alvarado and Trey Murphy the third. I
love Alvarado on this slate.
Yeah, I have him getting both over a little 30 minutes. Alvarado, great guy, good hands again. Can pick up a good pile of steals for you. Honestly, the best. Their best backcourt is him and McCollum more often than not. They keep running out Devontae Graham a lot, but I like Alvarado a lot. But there's short a number of guys there. So Alvarado and then Trey Murphy at the absolute fucking floor is another guy who would be maybe the best value play on the slate most nights. I have him for 30 minutes and 25.75 fantasy.
And we've seen him absolutely explode.
Yeah. Like I would put him on the board over Brandon Boston is another reason there. And even more so if we think they get their ass kicked, which seems pretty likely. Again, this is a New Orleans team sitting a number of people, and I expect to have, CJ extremely limited.
Yep. Fine. I have some DMs asking about Bulls projected starters. I think who they have. Io, Pat Williams.
Yeah, they're going to start Io, Pat Williams, Troy Brown, Javonte Green, and
Tristan Thompson. Yeah.
I
That's what I have as well.
You could start Tyler Cook.
I don't think they will, though.
Start Tony Bradley. I mean, you could lean into there ain't nothing. Let's really give the kids a game. I don't think that's the case. Again, I think you get Io, Pat. And also the Troy Brown could turn into Derek Jones Jr. That could happen. There's some stuff there, but I'll go with the Sunmu, Troy Brown, Pat Williams.
I think that's what I have as well. And then I have Derek Jones, Tyler Cook, Tony Bradley off the bench.
Malcolm Hill will play some.
And Malcolm Hill, yeah, Malcolm Hill as well.
Also, what's his name? They're Eastern.
Marco Simonovic. Simonovic.
Yeah, he'll also probably get on the court. I think they will run out a decent number of guys, which is why they're
sure.
Sort of second tier for me past the Sunmu, who's going to play 32 minutes of point guard, like at 3,900. You go back into any number of things I'm missing. Beverly in, D-Russ out.
Okay, that's perfect.
Anthony Edwards. You think Yurtseven might have the highest point per dollar projection I've ever seen at the moment?
I can see it.
It's close. I mean, he's projected for about 15 points per dollar. So, yeah, Bamba out and everything too. No Wendell Carter Jr., so he's going to be going against some pretty terrible defensive bigs. Yeah, you have the salary for Jaylen Brown. Do you do it? He's going to start. You can go Brown. Who do I have as the top 5 projected fantasy scorers? What a great question.
Huh.
You know, number 1.
Yep.
I have Jokic in here. But in order, I have Luka, Jokic, Yurtseven.
Oh my God.
Tatum quickly are my top 4. Tatum quickly, Jalen Horde just missing the 5-man podium, but
holy shit.
It's an excellent question.
That's hilarious.
I have Omar Yurtseven coming in 3rd with 50 and a quarter fantasy points.
Bamba's in, by the way.
Bamba is in?
I believe so.
Bamba's in. I didn't expect Bamba to play today. Bamba's in?
I believe. I didn't see anything about him.
Not what my notes say. I didn't think Bamba was going to play.
Unless I missed something. Let me look.
I will double check my shed. I did.
I'm looking right now too.
He had maybe I have a lingering Mo Bamba available. Yeah, he was. It was midday available, so it went through my system wrong. But yeah, Mo Bamba available from his right ankle sprain. I just presumed with them fucking hanging them up that he was not going to put in a lot of time here. Do we have starters?
We do not yet. I'm gonna my starters I have on my projections are. Oh, hold on. It didn't.
I assume Bamba, Okiki. I'm in the standard.
Yeah, it'll be Hampton, Anthony, Bamba, Okiki, Wagner. Is that
Cole Anthony's out? Anthony's not doing shit.
Or not? Excuse me, not Anthony.
Fultz. Yeah, Fultz. Yeah.
Sorry. So I have Hampton, Fultz, Okiki, Wagner, and Bamba.
Most likely. Yep.
That's what I have.
I just had Bamba out. I in theory could spend a couple minutes doing this a little more correctly. Now you would end up with my Yurtseven projection would go down by, I suspect, a half.
Sure. Let me remove JVal. For people watching, the optimizer's back. I am working on updating the rotations right now, and it should be up shortly.
So Miami, I've come through now. I think I have correct figures. I have obviously Yurtseven as the creme de la creme, and then past that, I have Haywood Highsmith as the second highest guy, which I thought with, again, very similar to Brandon Boston. I have Haywood Highsmith at 33.5 minutes and 24 3/4 fantasy points at the absolute floor. Mm-hmm. He's around that 8-9 line on the slate this juicy. Michael Mulder, I have at 27 minutes, 21 fantasy points. They'll play him less. I have Oladipo at 28 minutes and 29 1/4 fantasy points. He's in play. I have Gabe Vincent playing 20 minutes. I have Caleb Martin probably getting out there for 18 minutes. I have Duncan Robinson in 22 minutes with the start. But for me, it's Yurtseven, Highsmith.
Yes.
If you want Mulder or Oladipo, and then move on. Like, I think you're being too cute after that, and there's going to be a lot of guys playing 20 minutes.
On FanDuel, the one problem with locking Yurt is the Jokic dilemma. Well, for me, I'm taking the stand that I don't think is that bold, that Jokic is out anyways, and in a vacuum, I'm still playing Yurt over Cousins. So to me, it's not that much of a dilemma. But I get it. I do.
Yeah, would have more to do with me for how much you lose on possible buy-ups later. Like, you have a real chance that Donovan Mitchell is still questionable sick, right? Okay, leave a spot to play Donnie Mitchell later.
Let's see. I just bumped up Jose Alvarado to 28 minutes. Pooley. We have, this is very random, but Warriors obviously have some incentive.
They have they need to win. It's not they have some incentive. Yeah, they need to win. They're just playing a half-strength Pelicans.
Clay and Wiggins are in, right?
Clay is in. Wiggins is in. Poole is... Wait. Wiggins was the one who was... Let me double-check my notes.
No, Wiggins was ruled in. Sorry. Clay is the one that I need to know. He should be in, but he was out last game. That's what it was.
I'm 99% sure it's Clay and Wiggins out, but let me check.
Out?
Let me...
Okay. Tillman
Sure
or Yurt? That's Yurt for me.
Wiggins is out with his back. That's what I thought. Yeah, Wiggins is out.
Okay. Clay's in. Sorry.
Yeah, Clay's in. Clay's not even on the injury report. The injury report is Steph
Yep.
Curry, Andre Iguodala, Otto Porter, Andrew Wiggins, and James Wiseman all out.
Yep.
So they will play and they will win. I think it's absolutely fine to have a spend up of Jordan Poole. I like that.
I don't think people get there enough.
Yeah, I just don't think enough people get there. He's going to be 8-10% owned, and it's an absolutely fine matchup in a spot. You know, like he's 8,600, but again, money isn't really the issue here. He projects for about 40 for me, 40 and a quarter. He absolutely can drop 50 or whatever for you here at a pretty low ownership. So yes, by all means.
Tina is saying that Malone said Jokic wouldn't play today. I need a link to see that first. Sweet Dick Willie and Brandon Boston or Io and Cousins. It's the second for me.
Making sure that you have a way to pivot off of Cousins if Jokic.
Sure.
Yes, I would go with Io and Cousins. Again, the Nuggets in theory are going to play to win. I don't want to undersell the heart of a champion of Nikola Jokic here. Like, they in theory can win and move up to the 5 seed, where presumably they get Dallas. So you have to wonder, like, you think they probably slightly prefer Dallas to Golden State. So I think they're fairly incentivized to win here. Again, that being the likely layout there. Now it's a little more confusing because of the fact they don't know necessarily that's what's going to happen. Again, I suspect, and we've seen it so far today, Brooklyn take care of business. We'll continue to see the right teams taking care of business here. But I don't want to sell, Jokic short that he's going to gussy up as he needs to do. Quickly or Jalen is quickly for me for quite a lot. You can put Spider in on FanDuel and pivot down to Poole if need be. That works great. Do that. Malone said he wouldn't play. Jokic wouldn't play tonight after last night's game. No link. He said it on TV after the game. Obi or Horde?
Both if you can. I think I still lean.
One line on DK, you playing Horde. I did actually end up with him in a placeholder. That doesn't mean anything, though. Like, you can play him, or like he projects very well.
I think for me, with that Obi or Horde question, I lean Horde there, but then I would also want to play Emmanuel quickly because I do. If you're playing one lineup, I want one.
I have Horde and quickly in it.
Yeah,
I have Horde and quickly in the one lineup I built today. If I had Toppin in this lineup, I would probably swap out quickly. If I had, what I'm saying, like, so I'm trying to hit the ceiling guy in each of these games.
It should be updated. First round of projections is updated, but obviously bear with us. A lot is changing. Ton of moving parts. Do not rely on them. Use them as a baseline. This is like the biggest disclaimer slate with.
I just tried to upload rankings. That didn't work again. What the hell's going on?
I'm uploading the data table right now.
Is there stuff all going in? Because I'm just getting a data reader.
I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna see if it works right now. Upload data.
Enhance.
Save.
Enhance.
Yeah, it worked for me. I think.
Okay. Tillman or Melton, Jaylen Brown, and Boogie for DK single entry GPP 200 person. I lean first. 200 person. I would probably play the first one. That's 3.
Same.
Just fine plays. I'm probably in on the first one. I have all of them in my placeholder. I have none of the second in currently. Like, I like Boogie a lot. Okay. The issue with Boogie is you can play Naz Reid, Omer Yurtseven, Xavier Tillman, and they all look great. Like, the worst of those is Xavier Tillman, who I have for Christ, I don't know how much, but it's going to be a pretty decent projection. I have Tillman for 33 and a quarter fantasy points. So for you to get a projection over that out of Cousins, you need to project Cousins for, like, you can safely give him a fantasy point and a half, maybe 1.6 in this spot without Jokic. So, but that would mean you need Jokic to be out, Cousins to play 23 or more minutes. So that's like a 50-50 and a 50-50 for me. Like, you're asking for some trouble, and he doesn't get close to Yurtseven. So at this point, holding spots for Cousins feels dubious. You just have to be careful because there's just a lot of other plays that get there, and you don't want to get caught with, I've left a value spot open on a night with some nice fucking value spots and nothing to spend it on.
Sure.
And Hernan Gomez too, by the way, who, because he's 4,300, ranks as like 5th on that list, but still against the Warriors even projects for, my last Hernan Gomez projection was 28.5 minutes and 37 a quarter fantasy points. It's pretty good for 4,300. Like, these guys all project insane. So yeah, by all means, if you can do it without subjecting yourself to any potential opportunity cost, yes, by all means, leave yourself a spot for DeMarcus Cousins, but make sure you've established an equitable pivot. Otherwise, you're really, like, part of these decisions is always opportunity cost. And if you sit there with a spot on Cousins and you haven't set up a lovely place to move to, you are going to strongly regret it.
If you want to laugh, it's too late now, but you go look at the tier slate on DraftKings, everyone's out. Like, you can, you can field a tiers team, but you are duping everybody. I'm just getting my Omer Yurtseven over 12.5 rebounds in.
You have the Clippers. I also think there's very little risk in reserving spots for the Nuggets. Yeah, there's a pile of late games. So you can certainly leave a spot for Cousins. Just have a plan to turn it into I'm looking at the other team. I mean, Hernan Gomez is a perfectly fine spot to go to. Just have a double swap set up. You think there's very little risk in reserving spots for the Nuggets? Well, what I'm saying is the risk, you're taking it a little more traditionally than I meant. The risk for reserving spots for anyone is the fact they won't play and you'll be a little screwed. There's also the chance that you have laid off some of the incredibly excellent value plays on this slate. And what I'm saying is you are laying off, hypothetically, Yurtseven or Tillman, who are going to go for Cousins, who projects a little bit worse for me than Tillman and much worse than Yurtseven. So, yeah, one lineup, I'm disinclined to leaving that spot right now, more for that. But yeah, again, placeholder, I ended up with Hernan Gomez, Yurtseven in the 2 center spots.
Yurt only 23.8% on main FanDuel. That's nice. That's really, really nice.
It's really good. Again, we don't want to massively overstate how good he is because of the fact that his value, like, we're all going, Jesus Christ, he projects for like 50 for 3,000. The 3,000 part is not that important. So he's still great. He's still probably the best play on the slate, but not as insane as he would be on a normal slate because the 3K doesn't do a lot for you. And actually getting away from that method of thinking is the largest singular advantage you can have tonight, would be understanding that it's kind of a pick 'em. It's using correlation and picking the top 8 scoring players. Stop there. The salary probably doesn't matter. Like, if you, I'll put it that way. If I take, especially if Jokic is out, if I go, well, it's hard to explain this without like using regression analysis or whatever. But if you look at, the top highest projecting plays on the slate now, in the top 15, you have Yurtseven at 3K, Quickly at 6,700, Horde at $7,000, Toppin at 6,500. We'll say Tobias Harris at 7,300, Melton at 5,200, Maxey at 6,800, Anthony Edwards at 8,000, Talen Horton-Tucker at 5,200, Guillermo Hernan Gomez at 4,300, Ayo Dosunmu at 3,900, and Xavier Simpson for me at 4,800. Everyone I just named projected for 36.5 or more fantasy points. And we're the lower cost guys. Now, I did not list guys for more, be they Gobert and Luka, but there is, my point being, he projects for like 45, 50 fantasy points. That's great. By all means, play him, especially if he's relatively low on. But the fact that he's 3K is not incidental, but less relevant than it would be almost any other night that you had shit like this going on.
Yep.
Do you have, I assume you have some live action on DraftKings? We can review some.
I do not today. No, I haven't played in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Hey, when my fiance saw how much I was still playing DraftKings, we have a wedding in 3 weeks. I had to withdraw.
All right, somebody. And it's fair. Let's look at the. Yeah, no, I will be in Slack all night. I'll be here until the last game starts. So 2.5 more hours. I will be here straight through, barring the occasional.
We'll still be on for another 25 minutes. So
Yeah, I'll handle any questions anyone has now. Someone has sent me ownership for a contest which is not the main. I don't know, this is 30K something. Anyway, Yurtseven 47%, Quickly 42, Toppin 30, Melton 22, Tatum 20, Brown 14, Paul Reed 13, Conchar 12.5, Maxey 12.33, Tillman 9. That's great.
Oh,
I like that a lot.
wow.
Yeah, I think I Tillman is Xavier Tillman. He just does not have the reputation, but he's a better than point per minute guy, and they're very thin up there. So Oladipo 9, Harris 8, Sims 6, Okiki 5, Trent 5, Kyle Anderson 4. Pretty nice at 4. Alec Burks at 4 is outstanding. Scotty Barnes at 4, Sadiq Bey at 3, Mo Bamba 3, Zaire at 3, Haywood Highsmith at 3. That's outstanding. That's a real Haywood Highsmith. He can score. So that's a real GPP winner. Shake Melton at 3 is nice. Horford at 2.5. Duncan Robinson 2.2. Marcus Smart 2.2. Max Strus 2. Mo Wagner 2. Fournier 1.9. I actually really like. I like 2% over Fournier. Caleb Martin 1.5. RJ Hampton 1.4. Killian Hayes 1.2. Yves Pont 1.2. Kelly Olynyk 1.2. Daniel Tice 1.1. And Anunoby 1.1. Anything else interesting here? DeAndre Jordan 1.02%.
I guess I'd be over that if I had 150.
Tyler Hero 0.85. Thank you.
Thank you for the money.
Kyle Lowry 0.8.
Thank you
for the money. My boy Chris Boucher 0.8. Thanks. Pascal Siakam 0.7. Bam Adebayo 0.5. Fred VanVleet 0.4. Some good ones in here.
So it's Master Sunday.
Joel Embiid 0.2.
What?
Yeah, and this isn't even actually the main. This is like a side contest. So
you assume it's a little bit higher.
I suspect all that dead money would be slightly higher in the large GPP. Yep. So yeah, today is a play guys with a reasonable expectation. It's sure it is a harder slate to fuck up, and people will again give you back 2/3 of your rake. Like people are going to play 10% dead or functionally really close to dead guys. CJ McCollum is going to go off at, I don't know, something percent owned. And I think it's really unlikely he plays enough minutes to be relevant on this slate. Mm-hmm. Although, in fairness, it is easier to be relevant on this slate than most. Please discuss salary left on the table amount you're okay with on this disaster slate.
That's a hard question to answer.
I mean, I have to type it out, but I will come up with the example of what is the least money I can spend. Like, honestly, with the right guys, it's going to be 10,000 or something. I mean, it's going to be just a massive figure. I will wiggle with this a little and mess, but there are just a lot of really, really high-owned guys. The biggest reason I'm not doing it is the fact that Osmo projections like how owned is Oladipo when you get to 20%? Yeah, that's where he came in. I just don't think he gets enough time. But yeah, Oladipo can get 40 fantasy points in 24 minutes or something. So like that's I'm fine getting to Depot, but I think a lot of the like Depot and Duncan Robinson, I think those guys get pretty limited time. So like I would end up playing Luka in most lineups just because I think he gets 50 and literally his cost is irrelevant for once. So he might as well cost like 7K. So unless you think he's 93% owned or something, that's really hard to get away from that. Like go look at Luka's game log, and in the last 20 games, he has one game under 40 where you're like, oh, I'm really screwed. Other than that, on this slate though, too, like say he's going to be 78% owned. He's going to be 78% owned. And I probably am fine with that. So that's the reason I don't think I'm leaving a lot of salary. But you don't have to play Luka. And once you get rid of Luka, you can. I'll put it this way. Here's the placeholder that let me find it. I got it somewhere. Here's the placeholder I had built. Luka, Conchar, Tatum, Reed, Yurtseven, Quickly, Horde, and Tillman. And that leaves like $1,000 on the table, I think. Okay. But if you take out Luka Doncic and put in, you could play DeJounte Murray, which is leaving a couple grand more. But let's say that you play, I don't know, Jordan Poole. Now I'm leaving $4 or $5 on the table with Poole, Conchar, Tatum, Reed, Yurtseven, Quickly, Horde, Tillman. I think that's a great fucking lineup. Let's say you take Poole out and you play Maxey. Now you're still playing a great lineup. Maxey could easily outscore those guys. Now you've got $6,000 left on the table. Let's say you take Maxey out and instead you play, and I'm just futzing with the point guards, Melton. Now you got $7,000 on the table. So, and that's spending up for Tatum. You turn Tatum into Brown. Brown will beat Tatum sometimes. Now you got $8,000 on the table. So how much you're comfortable leaving on the table is a factor of a number of things. The size of the contest, your own personal aversion to risk or acceptance thereof. But you want to play 8 guys with upside. Upside who are low owned, even better there. Play Taylor Horton-Tucker. Taylor Horton-Tucker's got real fucking ceiling tonight. He's $5,000.
What do you?
Not many people. I mean, there'll be someone popular.
Yeah, I like THT, especially. I think he'll come in even lower because of last slate. But
he's got an upside.
Yeah,
he's got a real upside. The game may turn into absolute dog shit. He's going to play 35 minutes.
Speaking of minutes, Scotty Barnes. What do you have Scotty Barnes for? I have him for 34.5.
I think I have him for 28.5. I'm a little dubious. I think he's.
Are you?
Fine. I think he's absolutely fine to do because I think the ceiling is there. I think you could see 36 minutes. That would not shock me, but I have a real concern that they turn it into a bit more of a showcase, which is something that I'm a little inclined for Nurse to do in this spot. I have him for 28.5 minutes right now.
Plus 1,000 to double, which is why I asked.
Sorry, what's that?
It was plus 1,000 to double.
I like that.
Yeah, those are some nice odds.
Yeah, like I'm not looking at the props. I can't do that and track everything else I'm doing. But Toronto for me, I still really like Chris Boucher. That's, I think, just another example of a guy we know can randomly go the hell off. And there's a chance that this team spends 15 minutes of Boucher, Armani Brooks, Yuta Watanabe. I don't even fucking know. Kem Birch and Malachi Flynn as 5 guys out there for the last 15 minutes of this game. And you can get that out of Kem Birch in that spot. So, or out of Kem Birch, out of Chris Boucher.
Oh, my buddy just sent me a fun NBA fact for you. I know you're a big fun fact guy.
Okay, let's hear it.
Since 2017, Dirk Nowitzki has played in more NBA games than John Wall. Nowitzki retired in 2019. Wall signed a Supermax in 2019.
It's a good one.
That's bad.
I saw someone put the list in there before today because I had mentioned it, where players who played every game this year. There's literally only like 6, and I think
it was Dwight Powell, Mikal Bridges.
I think 3 started every game. And someone lost. Who just lost at the end? Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner hit the first.
He lost
76 or something.
And then he was out last week.
Yeah.
Mikal started every game. Yeah. Which is probably the only reason why he's starting tonight.
Yeah. Kevon Looney is on that list, I believe. Yeah. Played every game. He started the first 72 again until they had randomly with Draymond back. They threw him out next to Kuminga a couple of games, but he almost started every game.
Who else was on that list? Dwight Powell, but he has not started every game. I'm shocked that Dwight Powell has played every game. That's a pretty impressive.
He had a rep for injury. He did.
Sadiq Bey was the other one. Yes, Sadiq Bey will have started now every game.
Sadiq Bey.
Is Vassell a bad last piece?
No, you can get to Devin Vassell. That's fine. It's interesting to say a bad last piece. On a normal slate, I'd be fine. He projects that's fine. Yeah. This is an incredibly juicy slate. I have him still at 30 minutes. Like the price is up. Like I think. If you're looking for a forward in the 6K range, I think there are guys I get to before Devin Vassell. So is he a bad piece? No, there's like the time is to some degree guaranteed, especially on that team. But I would rather play
Denny Avdia is the other one.
Sure. Melton for $1,000 less.
Sort of.
If he fits in the position. Maxey, though, again, we're on lock for that. Malik Monk, I think I would rather end up getting to. Monk starts, and again, there's a real ceiling there.
How many minutes do you have for Anthony Edwards tonight? That's another question I have here.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the reason you ask is we don't know. So what Finch has been doing recently is like I've heard a number of things. I do think he is limited. I don't think it's massively so. I have 30, but I have very little.
32.
You have 32. Yeah, I have not a ton of confidence in this figure.
Neither do I. I'm actually gonna. So I'm playing Io and my captain on FanDuel over Edwards.
Yeah, Rimpack sending me the CJ McCollum tweet. I will be playing a few minutes tonight before heading to the bench to watch the young guys hoop. Don't take me in your parlay, CJ McCollum said. So,
well, actually, if anything, I'm taking CJ unders.
Oh, if they're available, yeah.
If I doubt they'll be available. Unfortunately, they didn't release Drew Holiday unders. That would have been a.
Oh, someone has sent me another batch of downloads for the main event. I shall look upon them and see how they differed from what I have. Yurtsevin there, 50. I think I had 43 before. So slightly higher in the main event, but pretty similar. Again, quickly second at 45. Top and third at 33. Melton at 22. Tatum, 20. Maxey, 12. Brown, 11. Tillman, 11.5 in the main, actually. So a little higher there, which is good for them. But looking at that dead money again, let's find that dead money. Yeah, less in here. That's a random side tournament. The first one that got sent me must have had a really high number of defaults for whatever reason. 1% and a newbie. Anyhow, 0.6% Siakam. 0.6% Tyler Hero. 0.6% Kyle Lowry. 1.8 dead money there. 0.25.
Hold on, this sounds excited right now.
Yeah, you're going around there and Embiid point. So yeah, just for these early games, it's closer to 2.5 than 3% dead money, but some nice dead money there.
Someone said, Eddie, what do you project Aaron Holiday for on DK?
That's a good question. Let's see. We go back in here. It was pretty good. He was 9-10 line all day.
I'm gonna double check what I have.
I have 28 minutes and 30 and a quarter fantasy points, which is pretty good for 3,600.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a very strong matchup. Everybody resting. Like, yeah, Phoenix is another spot. Like, we're talking about all these other guys, and we've spent hypothetically not enough time talking about Phoenix, where, again, all the starters basically resting except for the Iron Man, Paul Bridges, and against Sacramento. Not that many of the matchups, like being against Sacramento is actually worse today than most days because so many teams are running out utter garbage. They're running out the everyday utter garbage of Sacramento is less of a win. But Aaron Holiday, Cam Johnson, Elf Payton, Landry Shamet all rank great. Like great. In that order, by the way. I have them as Holiday over Johnson over Payton over Shamet. But those guys are going to play.
That's the exact order I would go to. Like, I think oddly enough, this is the one slate without DeAndre Ayton where I'm not disinterested in JaVale McGee, but far less interested in
I have
him.
him at 20 minutes and 28 fantasy points.
I don't like that's not going to get anything done.
Yeah, they're going to play. They're playing with the kids now, so they're going to play. They may play in 10 minutes, and Bismack 15 minutes, and Ish Wainwright, whatever the hell. Like it's they have absolutely nothing to play for. So for me, McGee is pretty far down. No, it's still JaVale McGee. He still ranks fine, but he's up to 4,700. So,
I mean, I also for what's worth, I have JaVale for 20, Bismack for 17, and Ish Wainwright for 13.
Yeah, I have JaVale for 18 minutes. He's fine at 18 minutes. I have Biyombo for 20. I have there's a lot of random guys coming out for this team. Like you're gonna have what's his name, Lundberg Fucker. You're gonna have Gabriel Lundberg in there for 20 minutes in the backcourt. But Yeah, and it's not like you got to go, huge against Sacramento anyway. But Aaron Holiday, great. Cam Johnson, great. Elf, very good spot. Landry Shamet, very good spot. Then you get into a lot of also rans. But those 4 guys, outstanding. As a matter of fact, I will retake a look at my rankings and make sure they all made the list because they should all, even on this great day, be a 9. Aaron Holiday got to a 10 for me. That's good. Cam Johnson got to a 9 for me. That's good. I will leave. Good. They project too well. And they're going to be unknown. So Alfred and Landry making spots into the 9. Sent to the wrong list. Sent part of it to the wrong list even. I blame N. Gelner for getting in my chats again.
$4,400 guard. I would leave. Yeah. Yes.
I'm checking some quotes online about things that are.
I'm going to answer your question in the Discord right now. Josh asked, $4,400 guard going Io and leaving the money question mark? Yes. For me, I like Io more than any other guard down there.
Repeat your questions if I missed them, by the way. There were 10 came in.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Let me. I can read them off for you too if I find any.
If you see them and there's anything that I've missed, I get a lot coming in.
No, that's it. Actually, it was those 2. Let's get more right now.
If possible, can you add your Bulls Wolf rank in the Discord? Looking to use them for playable pieces outside of Io and Naz. Sure, I can do that.
Is this T Panthers? Is this Showdown for playable, or is this main?
We said in Showdown.
Oh, yeah, I missed that part. Okay. I mean, I still think Edwards is very playable in Showdown. I like Pat Williams. I like Malik Beasley. Let me see who else I have here. I can find out. Bear with me, T Panthers. I like Noel and McLaughlin. I think we could see a lot more of them and a lot less of Pat Beverly today. And I think Vanderbilt's fine. Troy Brown, I do like.
Yeah, Aaron Holiday looks. I have Aaron Holiday as a 10. So
do you? What's your projection on?
30 minutes and 33 fantasy points. I mean, it's a real number for 36. 29 and a half minutes and 33 and 3/4 fantasy points.
Okay.
Just as good of a projection as you're ever getting out of fucking Aaron Holiday.
Right. Great basketball family.
Yeah, all 3 of them. Everybody's playing tonight. I think Justin's still in for the Kings.
Yeah, he is.
Drew stopped by and picked up his check before.
He did. Good for him.
Drew had the incentive to play.
Yeah, I think it was a 67 game incentive. Yeah.
Yep. So he stepped out on the court.
He fouled with 8 seconds and left all smiles. It was great.
Best money he ever made.
Holiday or Cousins? That would be Cousins for me. But again, how much earlier? Those games like at the same time, right? $8:30.
Yes.
Yes, they do. Those are at the same time, so I'll go Cousins. Yeah. Only if Jokic is out. Otherwise, go Holiday. Should be more embarrassed. The Nets and Bulls finished one game. They're going to be finishing one game apart from each other. Who's that more embarrassing for?
Fagan.
The Nets and the Bulls likely finishing one game apart in the standings this season. Who should be more ashamed of that?
Bulls. But yeah. I mean, that's better excuses. And the Bulls lost some guys and stuff, but they just.
Lonzo's arguably the most significant loss this season for any team, given the length of the injury, where they were at when he was healthy. But it's also not Lonzo's fault they can't beat any contending team. Celtics lose. B-Ball Paul has entered the chat. I haven't actually checked any of the games yet. I'm trying to update projections here.
Paul Reed, I assume they're talking about.
Yeah. DeAndre Jordan did start, correct?
I haven't checked the game log.
All right, I'm going to go look right now. How many minutes do you think Nathan Knight gets?
21 for 23 fantasy points.
Yeah, okay.
That is the
Serviceable.
absolute
That's
floor.
fine.
So yeah, like I have Naz Reid and then a long way to go.
Okay.
But I'll be keeping an eye on that as that game gets closer. Again, that's just an hour from now.
Yep, Oladipo off to a hot start.
Yeah, he will
9-2-1 in the steal.
Nice. I was surprised. Haywood 4-1. That's not nothing. Yurtseven 2-2. Oh, terrible. He doesn't have any fouls, so you're just thrilled. Like there's not like he's so owned. I mean, he's only 50% owned. So
well,
I guess you want 50
also
instead of 40, but
he could come in 5x in his next rotation for all we know. Obi 10 points out of the gate in the first 7 minutes.
Hasleman, yeehaw!
This early, wow.
He came in for our boy.
Yeah,
for the big man.
Conchar 0 for 2. Tillman I guess Tillman has a steal on the board.
Detroit is up 5, by the way, to keep you on the most interesting. Shake Milton doing it. That's good. I'm glad I got to say his name. Now they're up 3, so I'm just kind of 3 for Philadelphia. But that game stays close. It's good for your Maxey, Harris, Tatum, Brown, all that stuff. You think Edwards is really interesting? I assume people won't play him at all because he's not projecting overly well, but he could shoot an absolute ton. Yeah, there's no D'Angelo Russell and no Karl-Anthony Towns. Like Malik Beasley is going to take some shots off the table there. But yeah, Ant has a very real ceiling. I don't remember if he ended up on or off that 9 list, but he was very, very close.
I mean, you said you had 28 minutes for him?
I think he might have been up to 30 my last run, but it's again.
Either way,
I had 30. You had 32. I remember.
Yeah. Okay. Like it's enough for him to have a very, very dangerous stat line.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you could take 26 shots.
Right. And we've seen his when he was he had 49 the other day. Did you see in the last 90 seconds of that game just chucking to get to 50?
Yep. He wants his stats. Oh god. Conchar makes a bucket. Xavier Tillman assists. Spoosh.
Just how it was drawn up.
Those are my guys. He could take 69 shots. Probably not, but he could take 40.
Yeah. 5, 4, and 2. That's a good start.
For whom? But
IQ?
Yeah. Tillman with a steal, an assist, and 2 rebounds. No buckets yet. No shots yet. That's okay. We're 5 minutes.
Okay.
He'll take a shot.
I need some Conchar 3s. That's what I need.
He's got a steal and a bucket. Melton with only 3, 1 and 1. I mean, they've started off slow. Like they are going to get whooped. Like you kind of do not want them to get whooped faster. Like they're only down 4 in 5 minutes. Like you want them to be down 60-40 at halftime. So it's like, okay, let's go, Memphis, get your stats. Because
I was going to say you are going to get most of your production from these guys in the last 18 minutes of the game.
Yeah, it's exactly. But it's a really interesting situation. What is the appropriate time in a game to tilt, in your expert opinion? It depends on the investment and the player and a lot of other things. Like it's not standard. It depends on the guy. Like you never tilt Trey Jones until the third quarter. Like Trey Jones just constantly ends up being chalk, and he always scores 4 fantasy points in the first quarter and then 18 in the second. Just like
also another player like that, Jordan Poole is perpetually slow starter. Comes out shooting 0 for 5 in the first quarter. He ends up just fine.
Yeah, they're really thin. I don't think them being super thin is the merit to playing lots of Oladipo, believe it or not. Like the theory was he might take shots. He's actually taking fewer shots than Yurtseven. But
Sure.
Yeah, Boucher comes in and bangs 2 threes. Yeah, I'd like to see that. But it's just like them being super thin isn't the reason for me to take Oladipo. Like I'm really worried they give him that much time. But again, they may run a 7-man rotation here. They've had 7 guys in. That might be it. They may not enter another player here. I don't think that's the case.
I don't know why
Vincent probably comes in and maybe Max Strus too. But
I think Strus would be the one in.
Yeah. I think they're both in actually. So I'll say they run 9.
Okay.
Game. But it's close right now too.
Yeah.
Not that they necessarily care that much, but we will be interesting. But yeah, Oladipo, I don't remember if he ended up cracking that 9 list. He was in and out of it. Let's see, Highsmith with 4-1. Yurtseven with just 4-2. It's apparently in there next as one. If I'm mistaken.
Holiday or Alvarado for late slate on FanDuel? I am Holiday over Alvarado, but I do like Alvarado.
Gabe just subbed in. Sure, makes sense.
Did he?
I would probably play Alvarado more often than not, even though I think Holiday is going to project for slightly more for me. But I just think the
higher ownership
is high there. I think people will be more on Phoenix. I just don't think Alvarado has as much of a known name in the community. So I think, but they're basically equivalent to me. I do not have a great preference there. You can go Beasley again.
Go ahead. Yeah. Someone said any concern about THT. I do not have any concerns with THT. Even if he gets hypothetically say 27, 28 minutes, like the volume this guy is just chucking up at, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I always have concern is an interesting way of putting it, but I presume he'll get the preponderance of time and they're trying to develop.
My concern is more with his efficiency than it is playing time right now.
Yeah, I have him at 34 minutes.
Yeah, he's just fine.
Yeah, he ranks great. There's a real ceiling there. Tie game. You ready to call it? Yeah, I'm gonna be in the chat for the next 3
hours. I'll be in the chat throughout the night, popping in and out as well.
Let me make one final news check before we go, just in case there's anything else that comes up that I think I really want to talk on. Yeah, Javonte Smart has some nice tools. I hope he turns into something.
Mm-hmm. I'm not seeing anything on Underdog.
Yeah, I'm looking at my couple of beat lists. Underdog's fine. They rarely miss stuff. I mean, they rarely miss one thing a month. So the
beat list is good though.
They're very good. Nope, I got nothing that changes yet. Which isn't. There's a block and a catch rebound for Yurtseven there. So
love it. Those are the easy ones.
Yeah, it's already right in front of you. May as well grab it. And then another rebound. Yeah, he's going to be fine. Obviously, you want that to be 60 and not 40, but he's going to pay off his minimum price just fine.
Cool. Well, Eddie, I appreciate you joining. Last regular season stream of the season, or regular season.
Yeah, these are good money times. Today is a really good money day. Playoffs, first couple days are usually really good money day. People don't do their research. Whenever shit changes up, tends to be a lot easier to pull down some money. So All-Star game, preseason, summer league, first couple games of playoffs, first couple series of playoffs. So still some money to be made in these mean NBA streets.
I agree. So appreciate you joining me on the Wacky and Wild April 10th main slate. No NBA tomorrow, and then we have the playing games that start on Tuesday.
Yep. Awesome.
So good luck. We will be in Discord, and I don't think we have the beans video, so I apologize. But
let's get these beans.